Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is over my shoulder doing what she loves. We hope you are too. Please do me a favour, guys. Smash the like button for me on the video, like you always do. Smash the subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Nearly 15,200 people have gone before you. And we look forward to welcoming some more into the house. Please hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic. Let's get the transfer news, views and clues out of the way. More commentary from ex-players suggesting that Romelu Lukaku would be a wonderful fit for Tottenham in the new design, post-Harry Kane era. Dimitar Berbatov and I believe Teddy Sheringham have been talking about it, saying Lukaku, real talent, as long as those issues are resolved, then bring him in on a cut price fee. You know he can score goals if he's playing to his best, if he's happy. Of course, getting those minutes will determine whether or not he is happy. For me, I don't want the guy. You need people that are always going to pull in the same direction. You need a cohesive unit with this sort of football, especially when you do the high press, the high intensity stuff. Everyone's got to be singing from the same hymn sheet. Everyone has to bust a lung for the next guy, because if one person doesn't press effectively, if one person is not pulling their weight, the whole thing falls apart and you can get triangled past and concede umpteen chances down the other end. Players like Lukaku that have just got a history of being a little bit kind of petulant, a little bit, I don't know, miserable at times. If there's that risk factor, which there definitely is with him, then they're one to avoid. There's just as much opportunity out there with players that haven't shown anything like those kind of issues in the past, historically. And of course, you know where my desire is. But it's not all about my desire on this show. We've got to talk about whatever's in the news. And so Lukaku is one of those names that keeps getting mentioned by journalists and ex-players alike. And therefore we have to discuss it. The next name on the list is Lautaro Martinez. Inter Milan, their prized asset, their kind of talisman. The guy's been around for a long time. Every single summer he seems to be, you know, the noise is that maybe a club will come in and bid, and every single summer either it never happens, or if it does, then Inter turn it down. They don't want to lose their player, and Ben Jacobs intimated this as much when he spoke about Tottenham's transfer desires, their quests, on a recent, I think it was a podcast that he went on, I forget the name of it, was it Caught Offside perhaps? Anyway, he said Tottenham very much are interested or like Lautaro Martinez, but the problem is Inter Milan just don't want to sell him. Yeah, you might as well put the story to bed, in my opinion, because it would take a gargantuan bid for it to happen. I don't think Martinez wants to leave Syria. I think he's very happy at Inter. Personally, for the player, for what it's worth, I'm not a massive fan of him. I don't think he is the everything footballer that a lot of people, you know, say he is. He's in the top 10 percentile for strikers or wing forwards. Basically everything. Defensive moves, passing, shooting, goals scored, progressive carries, runs, you name it. He's got a green bar for the last 365 days, and if you were to go back and check the previous 365 and the year before that and the year before that, you'd see the same thing. His stats are flawless, and his goal scoring record is flawless. You know, I think last year he got 40 goal contributions for Inter Milan. The year before, I think it was like 24 goals and 8 assists. Year before that, I think you have to go back 3 or 4 years to find a year where he didn't score 20 goals across all comps. But that particular year he scored 19, and he made it up with something like 13 or 14 assists. So you can't knock the guy for what he's capable of, his output essentially. You can't knock it. There's something about him though, and I don't know what it is, I can't really put my finger on it. There's something about it, the idea of him coming to Tottenham, that doesn't really vibe with me. I don't know whether it's his persona, his demeanour, whether he might think he's bigger than the club. I'm not sure. I don't know why But there's something about him that I'm not a fan of, and I don't really want him to come in. I also think that it would take all the money that we got from Harry Kane plus more to get him in, and I just think that there's too many other holes to fill, too much money to be spent elsewhere. An owner that's not going to put his hand in his pocket, seemingly he's not even going to get the last 50 million drawn down from that 150 last time round. So I think this one is I'd like to know your thoughts on him though. Do you agree with me? Do you gel with him? Do you not? Would you like to see him? I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll move on. Wahi. Wahi is the next name. A little bit disappointing news, I think, from my perspective. You might have heard me mention him, I don't know, a dozen times on this channel. Montpellier superstar. He scored 20 goals last season. I think he's only 19 years old. 20 goals last season. I think he had an XG of like 12. So again, similar to Gift Orban, where you just take every opportunity that's given to you, and then even the ones that shouldn't really have any chances, you still find a way to get them into the back of the net. Where Gift Orban and Wahi are different is that when you look into how and why the XG versus the G is so, that difference is so large, when you go back and you see Gift Orban, some of the goals he was scoring in Norway, the goalkeeping was atrocious. And so shots that had very low XG that managed to get through the goalkeeper's hands or, bobble in, that was a little bit of where the difference was found. With Wahi, don't think that was really the case. I think the guy just, some of the goals he scored were just sublime. I've mentioned it before. He's got this kind of gymnast's athleticism, where his legs, you can see is like, he can finish the ball from corner kicks and things by putting his one leg on the floor, the other leg up at head height, and still control it. Incredible stuff. Look, the guy's got a bit of a checkered past. Some people will tell you that it is him that's responsible. Others will say it was his brother. Something about, I went forcing, younger guys or whatever in the dressing room in the school dressing room to whatever. Look it up. Look it up if you're interested. Look, checkered past, but I don't know if those sorts of things are something that you do or don't, you can or can't get over. Is it a weird one to think about? I'm not sure. But anyway, the story's probably moot, because whilst Tottenham have been interested in him over the last 2 months, which I was excited to hear, and Tottenham are second in line, it looks like he's chosen West Ham. Tottenham and Chelsea were also involved. Chelsea are still looking for their striker. I don't know why they need another striker. They seem to have so many of everything right now. It's absolutely insane to me, but they do carrying on. Anyway, looks like Wahi has chosen West Ham, who are quietly trying to do bits, quietly trying to replace some of their kind of key players that they've lost this summer. Obviously they sold Skamaka for 27 million, and they're looking to replace him with, I think, only Danny Ings and Michael Antonio as their recognised strikers, both of whom are kind of past their best, right? So they're looking for someone else, and this kid's gone and thought maybe I'll get some more minutes at West Ham, prove myself at that level, and then get my next move up in a couple of years' time. So I think maybe we can chalk that one off, even though I was quite excited by the prospect, although still had that kind of black mark. But I'm happy to sit back and watch him. Be very interesting to see him, see his development at West Ham, and see whether or not he can carry on his meteoric rise. And so lastly, guys, the story keeps on pushing with Gift Orban. According to a lot of sort of ITKs and the journalists this morning, everything's progressing, quote, very smoothly. The board have reached out to Ghent. They made a verbal bid that was about 27 million. Looks like Ghent are holding out for something just above 30 million euros. And I feel like that's going to get done. I do feel like it's going to get done. And I'm excited about that one. Sometimes you've got to take a bit of a punt. we've spoken ad nauseum. Dave and I went through every different striker option on a live stream a couple of days ago. There wasn't too many that made a lot of sense. Dusan Vlahovic, for me, is the most interesting of the kind of higher caliber players that are out there. I think he would really suit the system, and he's definitely got a better propensity to finish than what we have with Richie. But like I said, I just don't think that there's going to be that much more money forthcoming, and so I'd rather Tottenham, just for now, went after someone that was young, hungry and talented with an amazing record of finishing, and let's take a bit of a punt on Gift Orban, see what we've got. If it doesn't work out, you've got resale value. If it does work out, you've got an absolute monster. Young guy. That's probably where I want to go, because then I also need us to see the rest of that 100 million, the 70, 80 million that's left over, fix the back line. But you know what? There's 2 weeks left, guys, in the window. It was last Saturday that Ange Postecoglou said, we've got to move players out before we can move players in. It's almost been a week. It's been 5 days, 6 days since that press conference, and we haven't really seen anything in the regards concrete noise of players moving out. I mean, I don't know if it's just there's a bottleneck. There isn't enough, staff to help the conversation get, moving on, and that it's all on Daniel Levy's desk and he can only do one thing at a time, and even then he takes forever. I don't know what the problem is. This idea that the Barcelona director of football is leaving and might be coming to Tottenham, that's a conversation for another day, because he won't even be able to, if he does come in, he won't even be able to start work until the 2nd of September after the window closes. So he's entirely useless for now. For what it's worth, I'm not entirely convinced he's the right fit as a director of football. Look, he's had 2 years at Barcelona and brought in a number of players. Most of them are kind of older players that were on the decline, and he's had to be quite wily with the way that he spent money. So on that note, you could say it fits, but I'm not really sure that older declining players is the model that Tottenham are going to go with. So not sure it's a good fit, but we'll talk about that if it happens down the track. For me, I just want to see players moved on and then players brought in. Same story, same as yesterday. Get rid of a 2 or 3 immediately, tear up contracts if need be, make room in the squad, and then 2 players minimum left to come in for me. Another defender and a striker. And I'd be happy if it was Gertruida and Orban. It's not about how much you spend, it's about getting the covers and the gaps filled. And for me, I think you could get both of them done for 60 million, which would probably please Daniel Levy. Leave some change left over for January, maybe, if we have to go again. And maybe Ivan Toney can come in then. We'll see. We shall see. Let me know your thoughts, guys, about El Wahi. Disappointing that he's probably going to West Ham. He isn't definitely going. That still might happen, by the way. I'd like to see him come in as long as those problems in his past are over. It's a little bit too weird, but I'll tolerate weird if he is awesome. And watching him, I think he could be awesome. But that's about it. Oh, is there another story I saw briefly this morning? I haven't. Sorry, guys. Before I round off, Felix. I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn here because I haven't read the story, but did I read somewhere that he's torn up his contract or terminated his contract? If so, that's an interesting development. I mean, he has bundles of talent, but he's always come with a very expensive price tag. Didn't really hit the ground running with Chelsea last season, but nobody did. Be interesting to see what's happened. I can't imagine how he could have torn up his contract unless there was only a year or so left, but that doesn't seem to ring true. So no, it's all very interesting. It's all very interesting. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on everything we've spoken about today. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe and comment. Bye bye.